Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the WD Broadcasting Network tonight. We are back with the Misfits iRacing League's Trackmaster Sim Series for the third season of competition. And for this season, we have chosen the South Boston Speedway. This is our Season 3 schedule. Kicking it off with tonight's 100-lap feature that have shortened the distance for tonight's race because of that no tire rule. So we're going to go 100 laps tonight. Start things off slow before we go to our Twin 50s next week. It is currently qualifying time for these drivers. We'll take a look at who's on the track. Looks like the first driver out and the fastest driver so far is Chris Shepard in the 19. We'll get the tower up on the left side of our screen so you guys can see where everybody's at. As more drivers continue to qualify, Christian Peterson jumps up to the top of the board in the number 71 machine, the runner-up from last season. Came home second in the points. Dylan Hartman in the 75 rolls into the second position on his second lap. Zach Murphy completes lap number 2. He scored 14th. The other 71 machine, he scored on the scoring pylon as the 72. We'll call it the 71F of Adam Fulford coming around to complete lap number 2, second time around. He will stay in the 15th spot. Brandon Atkinson in the 15 machine jumps up into P6. He will bring that machine to rest as John Lyday now bumps up into the 12th spot. We've got a few more drivers left to go. And I think that actually wraps up qualifying. Not able to get a lap in there is Hudson Geiger. Anthony Ankello also not able to get a lap in. But we will look at the starting lineup for Heat 1 here this evening. Christian Peterson going to roll off on the pole. He'll have Brandon Elvis to his outside. Those two drivers last season fought very hard in the season before that. They've been a great rivalry to watch here in the Trackmaster Sim Series, so we'll keep an eye on that in Heat 1. Chris Shepard going to roll off third with the 28 of Carter Hollingsworth to his outside. Row number 3 on the bottom is Dustin Smith in the 33. And then Dominic Frappier in the 05. Bob Belshaw in the 44 machine going to roll off from the 7th spot. Then Steven Oberstadt in the 23 going to roll off 8th. Zach Murphy in the 29 going to start from the 9th position here. And then Kyle Terzak scheduled to start 10th. I don't think he's with us though. And then back behind him, Hudson Geiger and Landon Farmer. That is your starting lineup for Heat Race number 1. You can hear the drivers revving their engines up. They're eager to get racing underway in Season 3 of the Trackmaster Sim Series. And Christian Peterson ready to pick up where he left off last season. He had 1 win, but 4 top 5 finishes that got him into the second place spot in the point standings. Tanner Bethea was the champion. He had 3 wins on the season. The driver with the most wins after that was Brian Grable. Won the first 2 weeks of competition, but after that did not have more success throughout the season. Became more of a part-time guy. As we roll into turns 3 and 4, these guys will get the 1 to go signal and we'll send them green in the first race of the season, heat race number 1 on night 1 of the Trackmaster Sim Series. Christian Peterson and Brandon Elvis going to bring us to the green. Chris Shepard and Carter Hollingsworth in row number 2. Dustin Smith, Dominic Frappier in the 05. Through turns 3 and 4 we go. The pace car will make the hard left turn down onto pit road, and the green is up, and we are underway here at South Boston. Down into turns 1 and 2 they go. Looks like Christian Peterson will get the early advantage through the first couple of corners. Brandon Elvis down the back straightaway under fire from Chris Shepard as Shepard looks to the bottom. 2 by 2 back behind race leader Christian Peterson. Oh, Elvis up into the wall. That's going to check him up there. Short 10-lap heat races here tonight. Not a lot of time to move forward. It's a 6-car breakaway out front. We've got more battling back behind them. Still 2 by 2 up at the front. Christian Peterson breaks away to about a 5-car length advantage through turns 3 and 4. Look at Carter Hollingsworth way up on the top side. He'll tuck back in behind Dustin Smith in the 33. As Shepard and Elvis continue to battle side by side through turns 3 and 4 right here, coming back to 5 laps to go in heat race number 1. Christian Peterson pulling away from the 2 back behind him. Dustin Smith right there in the 33 machine. He's got a windshield full of Brandon Elvis and Chris Shepard battling for that second spot. Almost nowhere to go for the 33 at this moment. Elvis up to the top side. Oh, Shepard up to the racetrack a little bit. Looking 3 wide on the exit of turns 3 and 4. Here comes Dustin Smith to the bottom. How about Brandon Elvis way up on the top side, a little bit sideways. He hangs on to it. Now Chris Shepard and Dustin Smith do battle. Popsicle sticks up in the air this time. 2 laps to go for Christian Peterson. Smith and Shepard side by side down the back straightaway. Christian Peterson going to come back to take the white flag, but who is going to take the second spot? Looks like Dustin Smith going to pull ahead into turns 1 and 2. And out of turns 3 and 4, it's going to be Christian Peterson picking up the victory in heat race number 1. Photo finish for the 3rd spot. Carter Hollingsworth ends up taking the 4th spot. Chris Shepard 3rd, Dustin Smith 2nd, and your winner, Christian Peterson, in heat race number 1. That was an action-packed first 10 laps of the season. And it's only going to get more exciting from here as we have another heat race in store for us. As right now, the drivers making their way to the grid. Dylan Hartman going to roll off on the pole in the 75. He'll have Kyle Adams in the 24 to his outside. Row number 2 on the bottom side. No stranger to the Leave the Pack iRacing League. We actually talked to him Tuesday night with, no stranger to the WD Broadcasting Network. I had a little moment there. But talked to Brandon Atkinson on Tuesday night after his run with the Leave the Pack Gauntlet Series. He's got a lot of confidence coming into this evening, I'm sure. Going to roll off from the 3rd spot in heat race number 2. Jake Griffin in the 3 going to roll off from the 4th position to his outside. And then it'll be Richard Parks in the 113 starting from the 5th spot. John Lyday going to roll off from the 6th position in the 22. Then Frank Barbary in the 26 machine starts 7th. Adam Fulford in the 72, going to start from the 8th spot. And then Wyatt Youngblood and Justin Mulliken will make up the rest of our field. So they head back into turns 3 and 4. Everybody getting set for our 10-lap heat race. Not a lot of shuffling of positions up at the front early last heat race, but man, at the end of it, everybody was going for everything they had. As they head down the back straightaway, it'll be Dylan Hartman and Kyle Adams leading the field to the green here as they go through the restart zone. We are underway here in heat race number 2. Dylan Hartman pulls away to the early advantage, similar to what we saw Christian Peterson do in heat race number 1. Everybody getting settled in. Looks like Kyle Adams hanging on to the second spot for now. Brandon Atkinson on the bottom side, trying to take over that spot. Jake Griffin there in the 3 machine looking to the bottom. He's trying to find somewhere to go here early. Ooh, a spin out back. Frank Barbary in the 26 machine. Going around. Let's take a look at what happened here. Like just a disagreement on space, not quite sure what happened. Whether one came up or... Yeah, here's the 22 down into 1 and 2. Yeah, I don't know, they kind of just met in the middle there. I think Lyday might have expected Barbary to be a little bit quicker off the corner and up the racetrack a little bit more. There was just some contact there. And that puts us under caution for the first time this season. I do want to turn the spotter off on iRacing just real quick so those little messages stop popping back up when we go green. So be right back in just a moment. You guys won't miss a thing. Alrighty, folks, back just in time as we go back racing here with 7 laps to go in heat race number 2. Here comes Brandon Atkinson trying to take over the top spot into the back bumper of Dylan Hartman a little bit. Battling hard down into turns 1 and 2. How about Kyle Adams and Jake Griffin into turns 1 and 2? Griffin way up the racetrack, trying to use that way outside lane, but Adams fighting back strong on the bottom. Down into 1 and 2. Here comes Jake Griffin looking to the outside lane still. We got Richard Parks and Adam Fulford back behind him. About John Lyday there in the 22 machine. He's still rolling forward after that contact early with Frank Barbary. And oh, here comes Jake Griffin to the inside of Kyle Adams. Griffin wanting to take over that 3rd spot. Adams not going to let him have it just yet. He fights back on the outside lane. That allows Richard Parks and John Lyday to pull just a little bit closer. There's contact into 3. Adams up the racetrack. He'll lose the 3rd spot. But this time around, coming out of turns 3 and 4, checkered flag is out. Dylan Hartman picks up the victory in heat race number 2. So we get ready to roll. The second heat race has finished up. It's now time for a quick little warm-up before we get everything ready to go. Try and get a look at the race info for tonight's race, if it will pop up on the screen. We'll try and get this figured out. Also got to turn off one more thing on iRacing. We'll be right back in just a moment with some feature action here on the WD Broadcasting Network. Alrighty, folks, back here on the WD Broadcasting Network. We are just about ready to go for 100 laps of action here at the South Boston Speedway. The driver is making those final setup adjustments, getting everything ready. It's going to be a action-packed 100 laps. The story is going to be, though, can you keep the tires on it for all 100 laps? That's going to be the big kicker here tonight. And the important tire is going to be that right rear. You have to keep it as cool as you can. So we're trying to get timing and scoring back up. Not sure what happened, but in between the heat race and the warm-up session, it was not very thrilled about the transition there. So we're trying to get that back up for you guys. All right, so the drivers are on the grid. We're going to restart the timing and scoring app real quick and see if that helps us out. And the invert ends up being a 6. So that will put Jake Griffin on the pole next to Chris Shepard. Then it'll be Brandon Atkinson and Dustin Smith in row number 2. Row number 3 is going to be Dylan Hartman and Christian Peterson. So it's going to be a fun one watching those guys try to come from the 6th spot. We'll see if we've got our timing and scoring back up. Hopefully we do. It's going to be a long 100 laps. We'll go back through the rest of our starting field. Carter Hollingsworth going to roll off from the 7th spot. Then Kyle Adams in the 24 machine going to roll off from the 8th position to his outside. Back behind them in row number 5, it's going to be Brandon Elvis in the 54. Then Richard Parks in the 113. Row number 6 on the bottom, Dominic Frepp here in the 05. And then John Lyday going to roll off from the 12th spot in the 22. Bob Belshaw in the 44 machine going to roll off from the 13th spot next to the 71F of Adam Fulford. Hudson Geiger in the 36 rolls off from the 15th spot, and Wyatt Youngblood in the 16th spot in the 57. Zach Murphy in the 29 way back there in the 17th spot next to Frank Barbary in the 26, and Steven Oberstadt and Landon Farmer going to wrap up our field. Looks like 20 cars on the starting grid for the first race of the season, the Trackmasters Sim Series. Still fighting with timing and scoring. To try and get it to work, not quite sure what the issue is with it. Everybody getting the final adjustments made to their setups here. We will go green momentarily. If you're watching for a driver on the racetrack, let me know who you're cheering for in the chat below. I know a lot of these drivers look back on the streams and try to watch as much as they can, especially their favorite moments. There's a lot of excitement in these races, and I know if I'm on a broadcast, I'm going to go back and look and see how much TV time I got. So I know a lot of these guys do as well. As we begin to roll away here. Everybody going to get reassembled at the front of the field. The invert is a 6, like I mentioned. So things not going to look the exact same. Still trying to get timing and scoring worked out. I want to get everything up on screen for you guys so you can see, but not sure what the issue is. Nonetheless, I think we're getting the 1-to-go signal this time by. We will send them green this time. 100 laps the distance. No tires to save you down in the pits. You got to keep them on the race car all 100 laps. As just in time, timing and scoring wants to pop up. The green flag is out, and we are underway here for the first race of the season for the Trackmaster Sim Series. Down into turns 1 and 2 they go. Jake Griffin going to take the early advantage. Chris Shepard falls into the 2nd spot behind him. Brandon Atkinson runs 3rd. Through lap number 1 with clean and green down into turns 1 and 2. Brandon Atkinson and Dustin Smith battle for the 2nd spot. Sorry, the 3rd spot there is Atkinson down on the bottom lane. Takes the advantage through 3 and 4 that time. Smith gets right there into the wall just a little bit. Back around out of turns 1 and 2. Everybody just trying to get their grounds here. Aggression is the move, but you also have to keep the car underneath you. These beginning couple laps can be very tricky here in the late model stock. You got to get the car up to temperature evenly. You don't want to push one of those tires harder than the rest, as Dustin Smith in the 33 using that outside lane gets around Brandon Atkinson in the 15. Back behind him, underneath Dylan Hartman. That is for the 5th spot. 28 machine. A lot of speed here at South Boston in the late model stock machine. Throughout this one. As Hartman tried to get underneath the 15 of Atkinson there. That actually opens up the door for Collingsworth in the 28. Jake Griffin continues to show the way. The battle for the 5th spot back behind him, but up front we've got a battle heating up for the race lead. Chris Shepard not letting Jake Griffin get away too much. We go on board with Shepard right here. You can see how close these guys are. Not a lot of pace difference early on. Once we get some heat in these tires and some runs on the cars, you can definitely start to see the difference in pace. We got a battle for the 8th spot. Richard Parks to the inside of Brandon Elvis. Looks like Elvis cut him a break there, kind of let him go by. Only 11 laps into this one, still 90 laps to go. Seems rather short, 100 laps, but you still got to pace yourself. You still got to keep the big picture in mind if you want to win these races. Because right now, 13 laps in the books. Still clean and green. Jake Griffin is led from the drop of the green. We come out of turn number 4 this time. Dominic from here to the inside of Brandon Atkinson. Atkinson falls back to the 7th spot. Look back behind a little bit further. Kyle Adams to the inside of Christian Peterson. Peterson in the 71 machine. A 3-time winner in the Trackmaster Sim Series. 14 top 5 finishes for that 71 machine, so expect to see him at the front when this thing's all said and done. Only 16 laps in, so a lot of time for things to unravel, a lot of racing left to unfold. So we've got a battle starting to heat up here for the 3rd spot. Carter Hollingsworth starting to put a little bit of pressure on that 33 machine of Dustin Smith. Bit further forward, your race leaders not too far ahead of Smith in the 3rd place spot right now. Jake Griffin, if you look at the last time around, actually a little bit slower than all of the cars behind him. So Griffin setting a slower pace here in the beginning, trying to control the race the best that he can. So now lap number 20 goes up on the board. We're still clean and green. And about a 5-car breakaway up at the front. On board with Carter Hollingsworth here in the 28 machine. He's right behind that 33 of Dustin Smith. And these two have looked strong here early on. They've been able to drive up to the front. And they don't look like they're putting too much pressure on their tires. There's 4 cars up in a bunch right there. Sitting pretty good right now, 22 laps into this one. We look a little bit further back behind. There's Kyle Adams to the inside of Brandon Elvis. Elvis in the 54 machine has not been able to move forward so far at the beginning of this one. Back to the 9th spot there. This race. Everybody out back right now, riding single file at this moment. Not too much racing happening. Everybody's still waiting for the right time to go. You see the 26 of Frank Marbury go 1 lap down into turns 3 and 4. That is the first driver to fall off of the lead lap. This man, Chris Shepard, starting to turn the dial up just a little bit. He's got the 3 machine of Jake Griffin in front of him, and he knows he's got fast cars behind him. A great deal of patience you got to have to run these late model stock cars. You can't push the car too early. You got to let the race play out. You have to have a lot of patience and be there at the end when it matters the most. Especially with how close these cars are to one another. Pace difference isn't that great. You look at the top 5, almost everybody is in the 15.4s. Dylan Hartman just a little bit quicker in the 75 that time. But nearly everybody in that same interval makes it so hard to pass and so hard to get spots when you need them. They're late. And speaking of getting spots, Dylan Hartman takes the 4th position away from Carter Hollingsworth. It looks like Hollingsworth kind of moved up the racetrack a little bit through turns 3 and 4. Saw the 75 was getting some bigger runs and decided it wasn't worth fighting right now. Drops back into line in that 5th position. And turn 4 that time. Hartman just a little bit sideways. And oh, Dustin Smith in the 33 machine, trouble down the back straightaway. Not sure what happened there. He looked like he just fell off the pace, and there's damage on the left front of that car. I'm not sure what happened to the 33 machine of Dustin Smith. Let's take another look at that just real quick. And yeah, it looked like he just pulled hard to the left and into the wall there. That's where the damage came from in the contact. A tough break for Smith. Back to the 8th spot. That thing's definitely going to drive a little bit differently now. You see the damage on the left front, the front splitter just a little bit messed up on the corner there. It's kind of pushed up and into the tires, so hopefully he doesn't face too many handling issues from that, but definitely not going to drive as good as it was earlier. He was running in the 3rd spot and all of that. We stay green though. The caution flag did not fly. Jake Griffin continues to show the way. So we put lap number 37 in the books. Your top 5 is Jake Griffin, Dylan Hartman, Carter Hollingsworth, and move Dominic Frappier into the top 5 in the 05 machine. He's kept up with this front pack. Starting to drop back just a little bit from Carter Hollingsworth now. Top 5 all right there. Within striking distance of one another. Lap number 40 now on the books. Jake Griffin continuing to show the way. Dylan Hartman inching closer to the 19 of Chris Shepard. Looks like he's wanting to take that 2nd spot. Let's watch Hartman here through turns 3 and 4. little bit of wheel into it. Ooh, way sideways off the corner that time. That's what you don't want to do. You got to avoid doing that one there because that will overheat the tires on the car and you will burn them off significantly quicker than getting on it nice and easy, keeping the wheel straight. So we are approaching the halfway point here in this one. Once again, we'll take a look at the lap times from the previous lap. It's like the fastest car that time was the 28 machine of Carter Hollingsworth. At least the fastest in the top 5. Kyle Adams, 15:49. He's picking up the pace a little bit here. Moving up into the 7th spot. There goes Dylan Hartman. He gets underneath Chris Shepard in the 19. He'll take over that 2nd spot. Here comes Carter Hollingsworth looking to the inside. That would be for the 3rd position here as the 19 moves up the racetrack. Not quite ready to fight. You saw the pace difference there and move Hollingsworth into that 3rd position. Just shy of that halfway point. There's John Lyday in the 22, moving around Brandon Elvis in the 54. That's for the 11th spot. Still clean and green in this one. Next time by, Jake Griffin going to see the halfway signal. He is led from the drop of the green flag. He comes back around here. He will officially have led the most laps of the race, assuming we don't go into overtime and someone else takes the lead. As this time by, cross flags up in the air, halfway in, halfway home. 50 in, 50 to go for Jake Griffin, who has led the entire first half of this race, but now he's starting to get a little bit more company in his rear view mirror. Dylan Hartman in that 75 machine has been closing the gap slowly to that 3 machine, and now he is there on the back bumper ready to pounce. Down into turns 3 and 4, Wyatt Youngblood in the 57 machine did a good job right there getting out of the way of the leaders, gave them plenty of room. As the 75 of Hartman definitely has a little bit more pace here at this point in the run. Remember, we've gone green from the get-go here, so the tires are going to be a little bit hotter. It's going to be harder to pass. And here comes the 75 of Hartman to the inside. Griffin sideways in the 3. Everybody's got to get on the brakes there. That's allowing Chris Shepard to sneak back into the picture in the 4th spot. It's Griffin, Hartman, Hollingsworth down the back straightaway. 55 laps in, 45 to go. And man, that 3 machine is definitely starting to fade. You can see when he enters the corner, the rear end just starts to step out a little bit. Really having to fight that race car. Here comes Dylan Hartman to the inside again. You can see how loose he is. That car sliding through the center of the corner. Here comes Hollingsworth to the top side. Carter Hollingsworth said, oh, all right, I'll just go ahead and put it up here on the outside lane, take that 2nd spot. Move the 28 machine up to the 2nd spot with 58 laps in. Carter Hollingsworth has found something up in that 2nd groove. Jake Griffin tries to move up there as well. Battle for the lead. 59 laps in. 28 of Hollingsworth going to have to make that bottom lane work. A little wiggle from the 3 of Griffin into turns 1 and 2. They're still dead even down the back straightaway. You can see them almost bouncing off of each other up on the corner exit. Another big wiggle from the 3 of Griffin. It's going to be harder and harder for him to hold that ground the looser that car gets. Hollingsworth on the bottom, starting to peek a nose out through the center of the corner, but the 3 machine still able to get the power right back down. And man, what a battle we're seeing side by side. 3 different spots up here in the top 5. As it looks like Carter Hollingsworth going to peek ahead and officially take the race lead that time. And he will be clear down the back straightaway, move the 28 machine of Carter Hollingsworth to the top spot. We turn our eyes to Chris Shepard, who's taken that 3rd spot back. He was up on the outside that time. He will take that spot. Does he have anything left to drive back up to the front? We've been clean and green from the get-go so far. But can we make it to the end? Brandon Atkinson and Dustin Smith battling for the 8th spot. Atkinson to the bottom. Kyle Adams right there underneath down at prep here as well. And Smith up in the outside wall. He'll lose a couple positions there. The car definitely not handling the same as we saw it earlier on. You can definitely tell some of the tires are starting to fade on some of these race cars. A lot of shuffling going on, especially towards the back half of the top 10. 05 machine up on the outside lane, starting to lose a little bit of that pace. And oh, around he goes. And that's going to bring out the caution flag. I don't know if there was contact or not, but you could definitely see the handling going away on that race car. And that is going to bring out the caution for the first time here this evening. 69 laps in, and the caution flag flies for the first time. Let's take a look at what happened to the 05 machine here. Down the back straightaway. This is the look going into turns 3 and 4. Was there contact? I don't believe so. He got into the corner very high on the exit, or on the entrance of 3, I should say. But I don't know if there was contact or not. Let's look at that one more time. Try and go from our drone camera here. Off the corner, you see Peterson on the bottom. And yeah, I don't think there was contact. I think he just drove it in a little bit too hot and got up in the marbles, and that was all she wrote. Very hard to save that race car once it's up in the loose stuff up there. Luckily, everybody was able to avoid. A single car spin is the only accident we've had so far under caution for the first time. Carter Hollingsworth, your race leader, took the lead about 10 laps ago from Jake Griffin. Griffin led up to that point. We've seen a lot of shuffling throughout our top 10. But Hollingsworth is your leader here with under 30 to go. And this is going to be the first time we've seen anybody have to execute a restart. We'll see what that looks like as Hollingsworth going to take the outside lane. Going to give up the bottom. He liked the way it felt on the top when he got around Dylan Hartman. We'll see what he can do here on this restart. They roll off into turns 3 and 4. Pace car going to make a hard left turn down onto pit road. And the green is back out. We're back underway. A great jump there from Hollingsworth in the 28 machine. He'll have a great run into turns 3 and 4 down the back straightaway. Battle now for the 2nd spot. As Hollingsworth tries to put as much space as he can. Jake Griffin has a mirror full of Dylan Hartman and Chris Shepard. Hartman to the outside. And oh, there's contact there. Hartman down the front straightaway. Jake Fisher into the side of the 75, and they spin into turns 1 and 2. Around goes Frank Barbary into the 26. Adam Fulford also involved. Landon Farmer spun around in the 26 machine. That was the car that initially went around. And wow, did things get crazy right there. Let's take another look at that pass right here. This is down the backstretch. And watch the chaos that unfolds behind him. You see the 3 machine just get up a little bit, tags the 75, they go down, slam the wall, and everybody just has to avoid. 75 tags the 26 right there. And a couple other cars collected. But wow, what a crazy incident down into turns 1 and 2. Let's look at it one more time from a different view here. This is the contact on 3 and 4. I think the 3 just definitely got up a little bit high, tagged the 75. Just, like I said, nowhere for anybody to go. It looked like the 26 actually kind of came across the nose of the 75. That was the biggest one we've seen so far. I think most drivers able to pull away. Jake Griffin down on pit road in the 3 machine. Going to try to get some damage repaired. So we have 22 laps to go. The 3 machine going to exit the pits. And it looks like he will stay on the lead lap. So 18 cars remain on the lead lap. We'll send them back green. With 20 laps to go this time, it looks like they are doubled up. Carter Hollingsworth going to choose the outside lane once again, but this time it's going to be Chris Shepard to his inside. What can he do? Pace car is off as they work through turns 3 and 4. Another great jump for the 28 machine. He'll have a car length down into turns 1 and 2. And oh, contact for the second spot and a big pile up back behind him. Christian Peterson in the 71 involved. Brandon Atkinson involved. He was the car that I think initially made contact down into turns 1 and 2. And wow, more of them piled up down the back straightaway. That's Dominic Frappier and Zach Murphy all collected in the backstretch melee. My goodness, let's see that one more time. I think Christian Peterson got tagged maybe by Brandon Atkinson. Is that what happened? Oh, and there was actually initially contact from the 75 of Dylan Hartman, and man, you can see how it unfolded there. Christian Peterson came up off the ground. They wrecked more after the fact. Let's watch it again right here. You can see the 75 get down in there, make that contact with Peterson. There's Zach Murphy's part in it. He got into Steven Oberstadt, Dominic Frappier, and a big melee unfolds down the backstretch. Look at that. Hard to even get through for Frank Barbary in the 26 machine. That puts us under yellow for the 3rd time here tonight. Carter Hollingsworth going to keep the race lead. All of these cars in front of him right here actually kind of trapped behind the pace car. iRacing has a weird scoring glitch where all these guys will line up behind the pace car, and then right at 1 to go, it'll send them all around, and they got to hustle back to try and make it to the start. But Hollingsworth is your leader. Shepard second in the 19. Richard Parks in the 113 machine. How about him up to the 3rd spot right there? Kyle Adams runs 4th. John Lyday 5th. Steven Oberstadt 6th. Brandon Elvis up to the 7th spot in the 54 machine. Landon Farmer 8th. Dustin Smith 9th, and Jake Griffin 10th. As we get everything sorted out here, I believe we will be getting the 1 to go signal this time by Hollingsworth in the 28. Going to choose the outside lane once again. He's gotten a couple really good restarts. He's had a couple car lengths down into turns 1 and 2. What can Chris Shepard do to try and time it up and get a good restart here? It's going to be Hollingsworth, Shepard, Richard Parks, Kyle Adams, John Lyday, and Steven Oberstadt. That's your front 3 rows as we bring them back to 13 laps to go. Pace car is off into the restart zone. They go. Another good jump for Hollingsworth. Will be safely into the lead into turns 1 and 2. Kyle Adams in the 24. Trying to fight for the second spot. He's had a lot of speed here late, but can he get it wound back up to the outside lane? Here comes Kyle Adams, trying to take over the second spot with 12 laps to go. 12 to go for Kyle Adams to get back to Carter Hollingsworth. Can he take over the lead? Caution flag flies. Not sure what happened there. I believe it was Hudson Geiger in the 36. Oh, actually the 05 of Dominic Frappier. Big time contact with Frank Barbary. Let's look at that one more time. You can see them battling back there for the 15th spot. Yeah, big contact. Sent the 36 machine. And the 26 up into the wall as well. Oh, and the 36 went around after the fact. Decided to call it a night there. But a quick caution flag. And that might be what Kyle Adams needed to have a shot at Carter Hollingsworth here. Hollingsworth has been an ace on these restarts. He's been up on that top lane. Can he hold off Kyle Adams for maybe one more, maybe two more? It'll be 8 to go this time. We get the 1 to go signal. Hollingsworth going to choose that outside lane once again. We'll see what it does for him here. Every time he's had about a car length going into turns 1 and 2. We'll see what kind of jump he gets here. Through turns 3 and 4, pace car back off. Coming back to 7 laps to go. Through the restart zone they go. And a good jump once again from Carter Hollingsworth, but here comes Kyle Adams. He's going to be there to the inside. And how about the run from the 28 machine using up that outside lane? He'll be clear down into turns 3 and 4. 6 laps to go. 6 to go for Carter Hollingsworth. They battle back behind him. Brandon Elvis to the inside of John Lyday. That's for the 5th spot. Oh, and they tangle back behind. More trouble in turns 3 and 4. Landon Farmer in the 26 machine, I believe, was around right there. There is the caution flag. Let's see what happened. Oh, it looked like the 71 of Fulford thought about 3 wide into the corner in a big-time checkup. Dustin Smith was hard into the outside wall there. Watch what he saw. Man, that is a rough time for the 33. Got into the corner. The guy in front of him got ran into. Then he got ran into. Then they both got ran into. Let's look at it one more time here. I guess that's the one after the fact. From the drone. He looked at the 71 of Fulford, went 3 wide there. I thought he was clear to go 3 wide. I thought he was in there to go 3 wide, it looked like. Not entirely sure. But we're getting ready to send them back green. We double up one more time. Hollingsworth to the top, Adams to the bottom. It's green, white, checkered time. Who wins race number 1? Into turns 3 and 4 they go. Adams in the 24, Hollingsworth in the 28. And the green flag flies. We're back underway. Not a good start from Adams. As they tangle into turns 1 and 2, everybody back behind sideways. Can we make it back around? And the answer is no. Steven Oberstadt way up in the air. And somehow the green flag stays out. And Carter Hollingsworth is going to have a world of trouble down in turns 3 and 4 if everybody's not cleared out. It looks like they are. There's more chaos back behind, but Carter Hollingsworth is going to win race number 1 at South Boston. Hollingsworth picks up the victory in race number 1. After the pass late there in the first run, he's able to hang on in the restart festival. Adam Fulford going to bring it across the line in P13 backwards. Driving it backwards is good enough to beat Steven Oberstadt right there. I just want to throw that out there. But the 28 machine of Carter Hollingsworth wins an action-packed race here. We're going to take a quick step away, take a breather after all that, and then we will come back with a word from our top 3 finishers before we wrap things up here in week number 1 in the Trackmaster Sim Series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in just a moment on the WD Broadcasting Network.
Masker can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on. Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force him off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging. And to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get...
Alrighty, folks, we are back here on the WD Broadcasting Network, ready to grab a word from our top 3 finishers. Starting with our 3rd place finisher up in the broadcast booth, I've got John Lyday up in the booth with me. John, you started in the 12th spot here tonight. It was an action-packed race. We went green for the first majority of it. You kept everything calm, worked your way up through the field, and then were able to survive those late race restarts, found your way onto the podium. How do you feel?
Feel pretty good. We were just saving there. I called about that we were going to probably have a lap 60 wreck somewhere around there, and it was going to stack the field up, so we weren't too worried about the tires. And then when they had a little mishap with, I guess, between me and another pink car, it was Hartman and Griffin and all, it gave me some right front damage and actually had my toe knocked out a little bit. Car was still driving straight. It felt decent still on the restart. It actually hooked the bottom really well still, so I was like, well, we're just gonna give her the beans, and this is what we ended up with after those restarts and that ultimate green-white finish at the end.
Yeah, sometimes, especially in these late model stocks at the smaller tracks, if you get a little bit of damage and it drives, if it drives a little bit different, sometimes it actually helps you later in the race if it feels just right. But I'm glad you're able to hang on and get a good run, end up in the 3rd spot on week number 1. Who do you have to thank for a podium run first race out?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank CP and Brandon Atkinson. Those guys were working on a setup all week. I didn't really jump in till today to start tuning on something of my own, and they were definitely helpful with that. And Hudson was turning laps with us. Geiger, he was turning laps and helping us out, and just a team effort for sure, man. Just glad to be on the podium first week, and it's getting pretty fun. I get to talk to you. It seems like every time we get together with the broadcast, so I won't say no to that.
Yeah, it's definitely fun talking to you up here in the booth, and yeah, we actually have talked quite a bit on the broadcast, at least recently when you've been in. So that's exciting. Hopefully we can see you back more in these next 5 races, but congratulations to you, John, on your 3rd place run here tonight, and we wish you luck throughout the rest of the season.
Thanks, WD. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Alrighty, folks, that was your 3rd place finisher here tonight. We'll get our 2nd place finisher up in the booth now. 2nd place finisher, Kyle Adams, up in the booth. You got a copy?
I do.
Alrighty, well, Kyle, you started in the 8th spot here tonight. Kind of kept things calm in that beginning half of the run, and then you started to turn up the dial there before we got that caution. Definitely saw a little bit of speed out of the 24 machine. Worked your way up. Thought you might have had something there for Carter in those final, I think there was a restart with about 13 to go is when you were side by side with him. Thought you might have had something there, but just not enough green flag laps at the end to make something happen.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely didn't get the starting position I wanted. Kind of got pushed in the heat race out of the invert there, so missed that, but that's all good. And then I probably pushed way too hard early on, and I was super tight from halfway on. But got to thank the guys over at RKM for having a good set, and the Team SS guys for letting us race. So yeah, had a good time.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun race number 1. We got a lot of green flag laps in there at the beginning. It was nice to see a good green flag run to start the season. Got a little bit hectic there at the end, but luckily you were able to survive and put the 24 machine on the podium in the first race of the season. Next week we have Twin 50s coming up here at South Boston. What do you think you can do in race 1 and maybe race 2?
I'm not confident that I'm going to be in attendance for that race, but if we do, definitely got to tweak the long run. I think we were thankful to have that halfway caution there to get a good heat cycle. I think running 50s, guys are going to be pushing a little bit harder early on just because it's less laps. So kind of have a contingency on if it goes green, but I feel like guys are going to be pushing a little harder. We may have a couple cautions early in that one. So hopefully I can make it. I love racing with these guys. For the most part, it's a really, really clean group of guys that race you really hard. So That's why Track Masters is so good and why we're so thankful to have him over here in MRL. So.
Yeah, it's been a blast. My first season and a half, I snuck in at the end of the first season, and then all of last season was such a blast. I had to come back for another one, and hopefully I get to come back for more in the future. But nonetheless, congratulations to you, Kyle, on your second place finish here tonight, and thank you for having me up in the MRL booth.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you coming on board for another season, and congrats out to Carter for that really well-earned win.
Yes, sir. We're going to talk to Carter here momentarily, but once again, congratulations, Kyle, on your second place run.
Thank you.
Alrighty, now to talk to the man of the hour, winner of week number 1, Carter Hollingsworth, up into the broadcast booth. We had talked about this race all day long. There was talks about what the setups is going to be like, what the race is going to be like, what do we got to do. We had a talk probably 40 minutes before the race saying, did you try that long run set? Put it on.
Yeah, I didn't.
There it is. Victory lane. How do you feel?
Yeah, I felt really good. Car was, it drove itself, man. I've never had a car feel so good in my life on this game. And that setup right there changed it right there, man. I don't know what it was, but, dude, that thing was ass.
Yeah, definitely looked pretty good there at the end. You passed Dylan Hartman up on that outside lane when he tried to get underneath. It was Jake Griffin at the time. Tried to get underneath him, and at that moment I was like, he's got a little something more than just riding pace right here. And I knew there was potential to get you up front, and then the way things fell there just kind of fell right to you and had to execute those restarts. I was a little bit concerned the first time you took the top side. I was a little bit worried that there could be some foolery down into one or something like that, or maybe miss a shift, but you executed and brought it home in victory lane in week number 1. Who do you have to thank for a strong run and the checkered flag?
Yeah, I just got to thank the man that built the setup, Josh Cottle. He's worked really hard. I think this setup was from a while back, but dude, it's still fast and he works hard. I know he's competing right now in the SARA National Tour Series. I don't know where he's running. I'll have to look after, but hopefully he gets good. And just that's really it. Justin Brooks for the paint scheme obviously looked good in victory lane tonight, and yeah.
Alrighty, well, congratulations, Carter, on your win here this evening. Hopefully we can see you back in TMSS more, but I know you got other obligations coming up here soon. But nonetheless, congratulations one more time on a victory in the opening night, and we'll see you in a couple weeks at Winchester.
Yep.
Alrighty. Folks, that was Carter Hollingsworth, your winner here this evening. One of my real-life buddies. Gonna take some pictures of race cars at Winchester. If you need some iRacing pictures, check them out. I post all of my pictures. A lot of them come from Carter on my Facebook. So if you need some iRacing pictures, need real-life pictures, Carter's a cool guy. Check him out. But congratulations to him on the victory here this evening. Let's take a look at our final finishing results up on the screen. If we can get them up there. There they are. Carter Hollingsworth, your winner in the 28. Kyle Adams comes home in the second spot in the 24. 22, Machina John Lyde comes home third, rounds out your podium. Jake Griffin and Jake Griffin and Brandon Atkinson in the 15 round out your top 5. 6th to 10th goes Zach Murphy, Landon Farmer, Bob Belshaw, Brandon Elvis, and Frank Barbary. 11th to 15th is Chris Shepard, Richard Parks, Adam Fulford, Steven Oberstadt, Dustin Smith, and rounding out our field, Christian Peterson, Dylan Hartman, Dominic Frappier, Hudson Geiger, and Wyatt Youngblood in the 57. And before we wrap things up, let's put the schedule. Let's get the right schedule up there in a minute. But Tuesday night, 9:30, which is this upcoming Tuesday, September 30th, 40-lap SK Modified race for the Leave the Pack Short Track Gauntlet Series. You guys won't want to miss that. The mini stock race was pretty exciting on this past Tuesday. But that's going to be an exciting race coming up on Tuesday, September 30th next week. And then next week for the Trackmaster Sim Series, it'll be the Twin 50s. The dates are a little bit off on that schedule there, but we'll get them figured out for the next week's race. But before we wrap things up, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm your host, Winston Deal from the WD Broadcasting Network. Signing it off. See you guys next week. Peace out.